Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you are all doing well. We have a lot to cover, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. The Ethereum Foundation detailed on Tuesday how an estimated $30 million will be spent by the organization on key projects within the Ethereum ecosystem. The group said that $19 million has been earmarked over the next year to be put towards building the Ethereum of tomorrow. Namely, this includes an ambitious scaling upgrade dubbed Ethereum 2.0, Layer 2 scaling projects such as Plasma, among other research and development projects. Another $8 million is detailed to be spent over the next year on supporting the current Ethereum mainnet through initiatives such as Ethereum 1x. Ethereum is used in production today to secure billions of dollars of assets as a base layer for many hundreds of live applications. We believe that it is vital to continue supporting these efforts to ensure that Ethereum 1.0 continues to be the world's dominant smart contract platform, the foundation said in a blog post released on Tuesday. The final $3 million is earmarked for developer growth and awareness. As stated in the post, the money will be put towards developer education and onboarding, organizing the yearly Ethereum conference, DevCon, supporting regional Ethereum community organizations, and the like. We have seen larger numbers from the Ethereum people before, but I don't even know how to really organize this in my head. We've been hearing for at least the last 2 or 3 years that the Ethereum organization group of people who are building on top of Ethereum have been planning on Ethereum 2.0, Layer 2 solutions, Plasma, Casper, Constantinople, Byzantine, et cetera, for a very long time now. We also had news that Ethereum is supposed to have some of these upgrades by the end of this year. So this may be why they are announcing that they're putting extra money towards it, because they're nearing completion of it, even though it says the next 12 months. I hope, because earlier this year we had information that Ethereum was going to have some of these upgrades, like I said, by the end of this year. Them giving a 12-month time frame is kind of weird. To be fair, like I said before, the Ethereum Alliance and the Ethereum Foundation are ginormous. They have an enormous amount of money behind them. So it's nice to hear that this is still moving forward and that they're still trying to be the dominant smart contract platform. Kind of cool, I guess. I'm still waiting for some type of an announcement. I think was it June? I think this was for Ethereum, that we should have some type of a foundation for the beginning of the upgrade that we're supposed to have sometime in Q3 of this year. But yeah, as of right now, they have announced that they are putting more money into the ecosystem to be able to continue to build things up. Yeah, I mean, we'll see by the end of this year. Next up, the CEO of a cryptocurrency firm has suggested that the recent rise in Bitcoin's price could be linked to the trade war between China and the United States. This was said in an article by Fortune just a couple of days ago. In an interview, Digital Currency Group founder Barry Silbert noted how BTC's acceleration coincided with talks breaking down between Beijing and Washington. The crypto advocate said Bitcoin is proving itself to be a safe haven for investors at a time of drama in the global economy, and cited other examples where Bitcoin's value rose as traditional stock markets took a tumble. He said, if you look over the past 5 years, when Brexit happened, Bitcoin went up. When Grexit happened, Bitcoin also went up. For those who have no idea what Grexit is, there was a point a couple of years ago where I think it was Spain, Italy, and Greece. They were all threatening to also leave the European Union. But what ended up happening was that we saw what happened to the UK and negotiations between them and the EU and the UK. And the Greek government quickly retraced and said that there would be no Grexit because they didn't want to be dragged through the mud. However, given the volatility that the crypto market has experienced over the past 2 years, the executive acknowledged that there would also be instances where Bitcoin price took a hit because of macroeconomic events. He said the US-China trade war has seen both superpowers slap tit-for-tat tariffs on each other's goods, ultimately making everyday products more expensive for consumers. There are a lot of people who think that this, and I take this with a proper grain of salt, even when it comes to normal, traditional economics, financial markets. Cryptocurrency may be highly speculative, but there's also an enormous amount of speculation in the normal traditional financial markets. And a lot of people believe that as there has been some type of a correlation between Bitcoin and traditional markets as of late. In 2016 and 2017, we had basically no correlation. Bitcoin kind of went on its own accord, but we see recently that whenever there's like a really weird world event or traditional markets are going down a tiny bit, cryptocurrencies and more specifically Bitcoin tends to do a little bit better. Especially we also see this as well whenever there is like a crisis in a certain country and we see the spiking volume of local bitcoins.com kind of going up in those countries. Bitcoin's price also tends to favor this activity and also goes up as well. A lot of people are saying that this trade war, should there continue to be one, may be the catalyst for not only a stock market crash worldwide, or mainly starting within the United States, and also be a catalyst for the rise in Bitcoin's price as many people begin to then lose even more faith in the US dollar, in the US trade system, and the so and so and so, and economic instability between the US and China, and therefore other countries as well who also depend on this. It kind of, I mean, not even it is what it is. It's just a really interesting, and I don't think that we're going to see anything relatively soon. I was watching something a couple of days ago. I think it was either from the Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg. They had something on YouTube and they were talking about the actual effect of this happening and the actual ripples that are going to continue coming from this one event, even if it should be resolved tomorrow. A lot of faith has been lost in the economic policies of certain countries because of what they're doing to other countries, and it's not going to bode out well for the long term because a lot of, I mean, whatever, not really trying to get too deep into it, but the point is, we also had news yesterday that people are thinking that what's happening right now also within China is that we're seeing an uptick in, I think, the over-the-counter market inside of China, because a lot of people believe that because of what's happening between China and the US and also just basic economic tightening of moving around funds within China, that people are slowly or rapidly, depending on how you want to look at it, trying to put as much money into Bitcoin as possible as they are legally able to do so before something ends up hitting the fan. So this will eventually come to a head. You know, these talks and this tension cannot continue forever. At some point, we will have a resolution, whether it's either going to be a good resolution or a bad resolution, but it will be resolved in some sort of way. And a lot of people are making sure to keep a close eye on this because we do have a couple of really crazy, not even price predictions, but just kind of like where people think the market could go, because we've seen Bitcoin react positively to negative world events. And if this does continue, or this does end up being like, I think the US just banned, what was it? Or like stopped the I think the phone company Huawei, Huawei, I think I said that correctly, from being able to import something, or like you can't, like they can no longer use US chips, but I think the US also relies on something that they also created. That's also causing a lot of tension, is tension between farmers. Not to even step into the realm of politics, but the world economy is looking shaky at best. Next up, Stellar is in the news. Recently, blockchain-powered network known as Stellar stopped confirming transactions for more than an hour, effectively going offline, although no money was lost as a result. Stellar's major issue has now been highlighted publicly. That project is not decentralized, at least not to the extent expected at this point. Notably, the offline scenario was predicted by researchers earlier this month. When it says not as decentralized, at least at this point, a lot of the cryptocurrency projects, nearly all of them, started out heavily centralized, and the idea is that over time, especially if you've been out for about 2-3 years, somewhere around that time, that you should have found a way to properly decentralize your project. This happened 2 years ago with the people from Ripple. It also, there was a question about it for the people from Ethereum as well. There was also something for EOS. Every coin at some point has had this situation where they didn't have enough nodes, they didn't have enough something, and it just wasn't as decentralized as many people expected it to be. Stellar is a platform for money remittance, or sending money back and forth. It was launched in 2014 by Jed McCaleb, founder of Mt. Gox and co-founder of Ripple, and former lawyer Joyce Kim. Stellar's native asset is the Lumen, or the XLM, currently the 9th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. So without even, it kind of goes into a lot. What ended up happening is that apparently, I think a couple of their nodes went offline, and this in turn caused their network to freeze and or stall. So it says the Stellar Development Foundation, a nonprofit organization committed to the development and adoption of Stellar, believes that the network collapsed because new nodes took on too much consensus responsibility too soon. Somebody said it was caused by being too decentralized too fast. More specifically, the outage seems to be directly related to earlier claims that Stellar's network is too centralized. Last month, 3 researchers from Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, KIST, published a paper titled "Is Stellar as Secure as You Think?", concluding that the analysis of the Stellar network proves it is significantly centralized. Specifically, the researchers stressed that the entire Stellar network rested upon a limited amount of nodes, primarily the ones controlled by the SDF, that is the Stellar Development Foundation themselves. They said, "We show that all of the nodes in the Stellar cannot run Stellar Consensus Protocol. If only 2 nodes fail. To make matters worse, these 2 nodes are run and controlled by a single organization that is the Stellar Foundation." Here's actually one of the other articles that was published a couple of days before, when it actually froze for about an hour or two. Here's the thing, I believe, from someone named David Mazirez talking about it as well. This has happened before in the past, and I sometimes tiptoe around articles like this, and I'll tell you exactly why. I understand that a lot of people own altcoins, have altcoins, are in love with altcoins, and a lot of people do get upset when I talk negatively, air quotes, negatively about any cryptocurrency. If this had happened on the Ripple network, I would have spoken about it as well. If this had happened on the Bitcoin network, you better believe I'd have spoken about it as well. A lot of people, like I said, get upset when I talk about coins that they may hold or they may own. It's something that it took me a while to learn as well, even in traditional finance when I used to not even be into cryptocurrencies yet. If something is wrong, you have to know about it. It doesn't, just because you don't want to hear about it doesn't mean that the problem will go away. This has been spoken about for quite a year and some change, where, for those of you who were here last year, we had a situation where a lot of people were testing out blockchains. People were initiating or starting or trying to have 51% attacks on the Bitcoin Cash network, on the Ethereum Classic network. There were a couple of other ones as well, and people were noting, and I think it was because, I think what's happening, at least in my opinion, is that a lot of people who are Bitcoin maximalists, or maybe Bitcoin extremists, depending on whichever word you want to use, and they're trying to figure out exactly which coins and which networks and which blockchains aren't as decentralized and which ones are the weakest, to kind of prove Bitcoin's dominance. This is at least how I feel that what's happening behind the scenes, because there were far too many things that were occurring where we saw the weakness of a lot of different networks. We also had news a couple of months ago that was showing a list of all the weakest networks and exactly how much, I'm sure some of you remember, it was showing how much money you would need in order to be able to attack certain blockchains, and some of them were like $15,000, $38,000, $500,000 to be able to completely destroy these blockchains. And Stellar has never really, a lot of people claim and have claimed and have said for quite a long amount of time that Stellar was more decentralized, is more decentralized than Ripple. Ripple, blah, 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 blah. Lumens is better than XRP. And I'm like, you kind of just, you have to take a step back and kind of look at the numbers. Like realistically, like the actual numbers as far as the decentralization, the number of nodes, how easy it is to knock out a network. As it stands right now, even though it may not be the most secure or the most decentralized, it did go off for an hour and some change. That is very worrying. Imagine if Stellar became one of the largest cryptocurrency projects in the entire world and people were using it. Imagine trying to, like, this has happened multiple times with Visa and MasterCard and also with Swift. Imagine trying to send your money around the world or try to buy something that you need or some type of medicine, and it's like, oh no, the network's down. That's a bit of a problem. It may be where it is right now. That's not to say that at some point in the future, because of articles like this and people realizing that it may not be as secure as people claim, that it won't sometime in the future be better, have more nodes, be more decentralized, especially with the news that we have that IBM is apparently going to be using the Stellar network, or not a fork of it. I'm pretty sure they're using Stellar to be able to use their stable coins and go back and forth with it. So that also leads me to believe that at some point the people from IBM may also be activating 1,000 nodes themselves to simply make sure that the network is more secure. But as it stands, like I said, you have to look objectively at all these things. I own at least 10 different cryptocurrency coins, If something's wrong with them, I still go over them in the channel. You can't ignore negative news because you don't like the sound of it. I did that a couple of times before with my old investments, and I definitely lost some money because in the back of my head, I'm like, well, if I don't pay attention to it, it's definitely not there. That's not how life or money works. You have to take what's negative head on. But like I said, it's one of the largest networks out there, so I assume at some point it's going to kind of make it more decentralized. The issue is that Stellar is about a good 5 years old, and they should have gotten that together at least at this point. At least in my opinion. Next up, Cardano is in the news. Cardano has released a blockchain explorer known as Seiza, or I'm pretty sure it's Seiza, to make it easy to track transactions on the platform. The development was announced by Emergo, a section of Cardano's team that develops and supports and incubates commercial ventures. They said, "We are excited to unveil Seiza, an all-new official Cardano blockchain explorer developed by Emergo. Starting right now, you can visit the website with Shelley slated in the near future. Seiza provides utility and transparency for ADA holders." I'll get into Shelley in a moment. Here's the actual website right here. It is seiza.com. You should be able to find it relatively easily. There are a number of other ones like blockchain explorers for other cryptocurrency projects. It is a relatively normal thing to kind of have a blockchain explorer. This is the official one, as it were, from the actual Cardano people. It's kind of cool. You can pretty much, you can search addresses, transactions, epochs, slots, so you can kind of see exactly what's happening on the network at any given time, when you want, how many blocks are being so-and-so, how many transactions are going through, how many blah, 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 latency. It's all kind of there. So it's kind of cool if you're very much into this, which there are a lot of people who are very much into knowing exactly what's happening on the network where they have their money. But I feel like, and this is just me, no one take this too seriously, the people from Cardano have been teasing Shelley for quite a long amount of time. We're supposed to have Shelley relatively soon. I don't want to say how soon. I want to say at least by the end of this year we should have it. They teased us before and said that we are going to have Shelley. It even says it here, in the near future. It's supposed to be sometime in 2019. I feel like the Cardano people are releasing as many things as possible to even, I want to say, like, strengthen the release of Shelley, just simply because, you have extra tools and stuff out there for developers and also stuff for people in the actual cryptocurrency development Cardano ecosystem to kind of have, I mean, not more support, but just kind of have more things happening with the project. I think at this point, I kind of just want Shelley to kind of be released. It's taking kind of a long amount of bit of time, but we are supposed to have it sometime this year, and at least at this point, we have Seiza that has been released by the Cardano team. Here's a really good one, maybe not for some people. In another example, for the risk of niche exchanges, Robinhood has facilitated what looks like an exit scam of the Dexon ICO. Robinhood is one of the markets that was willing to add new tokens and coins almost immediately, where all other exchanges waited out the listing. And while Robinhood's site is still open, the operator has passed a demand to close its business, reported by Block Tempo. The company is in the process of releasing its employees and negotiating contract terminations. The news has crashed the price of Robinhood coin, down nearly 50% in the past couple days to a third of 1 cent. The asset suffered significantly during the bear market, essentially becoming worthless and crashing from the peak of $1.42 for the most of the year. COB price had hovered around a penny. In the meantime, DXN lost more than 60% of its value on Monday after the unlocked tokens were immediately sold. Here's it's very difficult to really put it into words because I don't really care, and I'll be honest, I don't really care for cryptocurrency exchanges myself. I don't care for hacks. I don't care for a lot of things like that. We do have to rely on them for the most part, especially when it comes down to transferring into coins, sending money back and forth, whatever the case might be on these different platforms. Robinhood was never a platform that I used. I think I mentioned once before in another previous video, the exchanges that I would find the most trustful, and it kind of came down to Kraken, Coinbase, even though I don't care for them, Gemini, and Binance. This is more of like a me telling you what's going on. If you happen to have money in Robinhood, might be time to evaluate if you want to leave your money there. That's the nicest way of saying it. There are a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges, and this is more so, even more what happened over the course of 2017. There were a lot of instances like this. During a bull market, every crypto exchange looks completely fine, but as prices go down, we have seen a lot of cryptocurrency projects kind of flounder, and crypto exchanges are not immune from this to actually happen as well. Regardless of what's happening with Robinhood, I'm actually happy that 2018 happened as far as prices going down. We lost an enormous amount of cryptocurrency projects out there. I'm afraid that many of them will resurface during the next bull run, or even other new coins will kind of take their place. The amount of coins I'm seeing mentioned in the comment section over the last 2 weeks that are not going to go anywhere is a little insane. Pay attention to where you have your money, what coins you have your money in, because, yeah, things like this do happen. So make sure, there's a huge difference between you have your money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or XRP as opposed to Dexin coin. But yeah, to kind of finish things off, there we go. I had to open that up. There we go. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Arthur Yaku, Minting Coins, Jim Gardner, Jeremy the Photographer, Paxis, Vlad the Impaler, Cody, RF Dusty, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Nicholas, One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Crypto Artist, Goldie 3D, Clara T, Snowden, Crypnotic, Jeffrey Ramsey, Amy Starsheen, Yasha Harari, Rai, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Carl Birchenoff, Mohair Maroney, Crypto Joe, Gilboa Snake, Shaolin Fried Rice, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, L Doug, Brady Niels, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, SC Verzely Fine Art, and Professor Wally from Gunbot University. Thank you all an incredible amount for your support. At the moment, for those who were unaware, the Bitcoin price has gone down, not by an enormous amount. It says 4.15% on, at least on this metric. When I woke up, it was around 7,450. So we have gone back up at least a little tiny bit. A lot of analysts were expecting that there would have been some type of a pullback in price of Bitcoin since we went from 3,200 to 8,400 over the course of a couple of weeks, months. We were up over, I think, 140%, which is incredible for any asset to kind of have gone up that quick. So this pullback is completely, at some point, expected. The rest of the market has taken a bigger hit than Bitcoin usually does. Normally, we see that Bitcoin is down by 4%, Ethereum down 7%, XRP around 6.5%, give or take. A lot of coins kind of is what it is. I mean, altcoins usually tend to take a harder hit. At the moment, there does not appear to be, at least at the time of me making this video, any significant news that would cause the price of Bitcoin to go down. The only negative news, air quotes, out there that we have right now is that an Israeli court has ruled that Bitcoin is not currency in a court case over taxes on Bitcoin profits and gains. That's not the first time that a court has ruled stuff like this, that Bitcoin is property as far as when it comes to, or even a commodity as far as having to pay taxes on it. So this, I don't believe, should have had any significant movement. And also the other negative thing that has happened is that EU authorities have shut down a Bitcoin transaction mixer. We talked about that 3 weeks ago. What's happening is that there's an issue right now with Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies where government agencies are figuring out that they can actually track the transactions of cryptocurrency. So we have things out there called transaction mixers, bit mixers, coin mixers, whatever you kind of want to call them, where pretty much you send your coins into a website and mixes them up with tons of other people who do the exact same thing at the exact same time. You get some coins back that have a brand new transaction history that you did not have before. In this way, governments are having a harder time of tracking who's sending these coins back and forth. As you might have imagined, governments don't usually care about that or care for that. I think this one said that apparently it was like a 200, and maybe not in here, it was in another article. I think it was like a $200 million entity, corporation, whatever they ended up shutting down. Yeah, it says bestmixer.io. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, they did not care for that because, one, the government wants to know everything that's happening with money, and they have gotten very comfortable with the fact that they can track Bitcoin transactions. And when someone puts something like this into the mix, not to be a joke on the word mixer, that kind of makes sure that they can't follow the transactions anymore. They don't care about it. Therefore, they shut this down, I'm sure, under the pretense or basis of, therefore, you were a money transmitter or money sender, whatever they needed to say to make themselves sleep a bit better at night. So these are the only two really negative things that have happened over the last 24 hours. But like I said, as of right now, prices in it, you know, they're not doing awful. We've at least gone up around $150 at least the last hour or two since I've awoken from my slumber. By the end of the day, I'm expecting things to be up a little bit higher. We'll see as the Americas, that is to say the western side of the world, wakes up, and, you know, because it's still relatively early there. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. Not really much more to say that I can think of. Some coins are going down. That's kind of the basis of what happens when Bitcoin ends up going down. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.